All right, so guys, it's Tuesday night. It's February 21st. And I want to say thank you so much for making tonight's call. We're very blessed tonight to have the founding coach, one of the founding coaches. He's somebody who's been in network marketing as a whole for over, 35 years, Kevin? 30 years?
35.
35, man. So, I mean, he's somebody who has built a business helping people succeed. He's been on both sides of the business as far as the corporate end in training. He was a professional trainer. He was kind of like Arnold. If any of you guys know who Arnold is from corporate, he had Arnold's role before Arnold even knew what Beachbody was. He's somebody who we're really blessed to have as an upline who's always been there willing to help serve us. And he's somebody who, for those who had taken advantage, he had helped a lot of us get GoPro tickets at a much lower cost because he's built a phenomenal organization and wanted to help share with the organization, pass down some savings if we were willing to invest. But he's someone I can tell you honestly is, I didn't really have a lot of mentorship in this business. A lot of you guys know. I reached out to him a couple years into my business, and he's never, ever once not said willingness to help our team out. He cares about every person in his downline and ensures that if you are somebody who's struggling, he's happy. If you're willing to meet him halfway, he'll match you step for step. And I'm really blessed to say that we are lucky enough to have him here tonight. And on that note, he is I'll be honest with you, Kevin, I don't know your ranking and whatnot. I think you're like a 9-star diamond plus you're maxing out the comp plan. I know you're more focused on financial. Him and his wife have been involved in every aspect of the business you can imagine. And they participate, and let me tell you, they are part of the elite blacklist club of $1 million earners. So if you're looking for someone to ever model and whatnot, I can tell you yourself that you'd be missing out if you didn't listen to every word he says tonight. So on that note, I'm going to unmute your audio, Kevin, and everyone. I believe I've got everyone muted. They keep popping up. Like I said, they're coming out like wildfire tonight to hear you, Kevin. So on that note, Kevin, take it away.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Thanks, Eddie. I appreciate that. Hey, guys, it is an absolute pleasure to be here. I know that Eddie and I have tried for a couple of months to make this happen. Just a schedule conflict. We usually have our team calls on Tuesday nights. We've since moved them to another night of the week, and as soon as we were able to do that, then Eddie and I we had a chance to jump in and make this work. What I want to do this evening is cover 4 topics. I want to quickly kind of tell you my story so you got to understand where this crazy redhead from the wine country is coming from. And then I want to cover 3 topics. First of all, I want to cover stepping up. Secondly, I want to cover a topic that Eric is near and dear to me that I learned from Eric Worre. It's called firing your upline. And finally, I want to talk about seeing the bigger picture. So my story begins as a college student, age 21, in a little college in southern Utah. I was dating a girl who fell in love with the idea that there was this guy that she knew in her history class who had this big poster board on his living room wall that had all these goals written down one side and all these little boxes that represented a calendar month. Back in the days when we didn't have computers, I was drawing all this out with a ruler and a piece of poster paper. And she went home and told her parents that this guy in her history class, who was very goal-driven and very results-oriented, had been asking her out on dates, and they're like, bring him home. So she invited me home one weekend, and as soon as I walked in the front door, her mom comes running up, gives me a big hug. So nice to meet you. What are you doing tomorrow? And I said, I'm a guest in your home. I'm doing whatever you want me to do. And she said, well, we're going to a meeting. So I guess I'm supposed to do this to the rap music. I don't know how to rap, so we're in trouble. But I went to a meeting into this meeting room. It was a high school auditorium. There's about 3,000 seats in this high school auditorium. Every seat was full. And there was such a buzz and an energy in the room. I'm like, wow. understand, I was born and raised in a town of 7,000 people. My father spent 7 years in the Navy. He was an amateur rodeo cowboy. So I grew up in an environment where I was taught speak when spoken to and never show emotion. And here I was in a room with 3,000 adults, 21 years plus, and they were just going ape crazy. And I couldn't figure out why. What is it that these guys are doing that they're so excited? And it turns out, guys, hang on one second. I got an issue with this phone. There we go. It turns out that this was an Amway meeting. I didn't know who Amway was. On the first break, Hazel, the mother, walks up to me and she says, "You look a little uncomfortable." And I says, "I'm going to be honest with you. I'm embarrassed for these people. I mean, I've never seen adults acting like this." They were standing up on their seats, and somebody down the front of the room was like, "How do you spell relief?" And they were saying D-I-A-M-O-N-D. You know, they're doing all these chants and things. And Hazel says, "Tell you what, if you're not comfortable, you're more than welcome to leave. Here's the keys of the car. We'll catch a ride home from somebody else. And we'll see you at the end of the day. But do me a favor. Before you go, why don't you just wander around during this break and listen to the conversations that are taking place?" So I thought, well, you know, she may be my future mother-in-law. I don't know, but I'm not going to make her mad this early in the process. So I said, okay, I'll hang around. And I looked for the largest group I could find. And I kind of did the old, those of you who are old enough to remember E.F. Hutton commercials where you just kind of lean in. I was leaning into this conversation. And in the middle of this group of about 20 people was a husband and wife. And they were telling their story, their story about how they got married right out of high school. They went to college. She supported him while he got his degree. He found a job while he was going to school that ended up paying him more than what he was making when he came out. But he wanted to get into his area of specialty, so they downsized their income. She got a part-time job so they could start having a family, and one thing led to another. And at some point in time early in their married life, when their kids are still young, they both ended up unemployed. Banks knocking on the door wanting the house, and it just so happened that a neighbor mentioned to the husband one day, you know, we have a little business that we operate out of our house. We earn enough money to make the mortgage payment and the car payment. Don't know if you'd be interested in something like that. But if you are, and the guy says, like, absolutely. Well, that was the beginning of their story. Fast forward 10 years, and they were making significant six-figure income. Their kids were now to a point where they're getting ready, the oldest, to go to college. They were able to educate their sons at the universities of their choice. And then the boys, all four of them, came back and joined their parents in the business. And I thought, wow, I'm not a big fan of education from the university perspective. At the time, I wasn't. Understand, I was 21 years old and thought I could own the world without the education. And I thought, maybe this is the way to go. So I stayed for the rest of the day. And with every additional speaker, I fell more and more and more in love with this idea of being my own boss, designing my own future, owning my own business. And so I just started attending as many of these meetings as I could to get to know more about this concept of network marketing. And as fate would have it, when I finished the school year, I ended up getting a job as a receiving dock worker for a company that I didn't know at the time was a network marketing company. But once I found out it was a network marketing company, that was even more intriguing. And I stayed with that company for 13 years. I went from driving a forklift to traveling around the country as a trainer. And then I got a phone call from a professional recruiter who said, you know, there's people who are willing to pay you a lot more money than you're making now if you'd be willing to move to California and go to work with them. So I flew out here, met a company, and fell in love with their philosophy and the fact that they were willing to pay me a lot more money and send me all over the world. So I went to work for that company for 10 years. And in the process of working for that company, it's where I met Milan. She left the company, just got tired of the travel. A couple of years later, I was just tired of traveling. I'd be gone for 21 days at a time. So we made up our mind that I was going to leave that business, and we were going to work on the distributor side of the business with one of their top volume producing teams. And that's when we got the call. Within days of leaving that company, we got a call from the gentleman that Chris Simonian was his name, that Carl had hired to start the Beachbody Network, Coach Network. I had worked with Chris at this other company for a couple of years. I said no. I said no to Chris the first time, and I'll tell you why I said no. I said no because the name of the company was $1 Million Body. And I had no desire whatsoever to have that type of a physique. Yes, I wanted to be healthy. Yes, I wanted to look healthy. Yes, I wanted to live healthy. But I did not, in my mind, I conjured up what that was going to mean, and I was not prepared to put forth that kind of energy and effort. The name turned me off. So I said no. A couple months later, another call. This is going to be something big. You should come and take a look at it. No. A couple months later, no. It was finally September 2006. First call came January 2006. Finally, we went down to LA under the pretense that we were going to consult with them for 90 days to help them get the network off the ground. And that's where we met Carl. And we found out his mission. We got excited about what the possibilities were. And we went from no, we're not interested to, hey, how can we be a part of this? And fast forward 10 years from that point, here we are now. Going on 11 years. I spent the first 2 years, as Eddie mentioned, on the corporate side of things, helping get the network off the ground. Then one day, 2 years into the gig, I saw one of Milan's weekly checks. And Milan's weekly check was knocking on the door of what I made in an entire month. So I went into Carl's office and said, dude, you know, as much as I enjoy what I'm doing, I'm going to go to work for my wife. And he started laughing and said, it took you longer than I thought it would. And that's when I left Beachbody Corporate September 2008 and joined Milan. And here we are now where we are. And I just love, I have to tell you, I love the profession of network marketing. I love what it means in the people's in the life of people if they choose to do something with it. And that's the first item I want to talk about, is choosing to do something with it. In other words, when you became a coach, you said yes to Beachbody coaching for a reason. Not sure what that reason is, but there was an emotional reason that you said yes. Maybe it was your own fitness journey. Maybe it was the idea of earning some income. Maybe it was the idea of being significant in that you were helping other people lose weight and get in shape. Whatever the reason was, you said yes for a reason. And I'm here to tell you that if you have lost sight of that reason, it may very well be reflected in the movement of your business. You need to reconnect with and step up to why you became a Beachbody coach. That's important. And when you step up into that space, then you need to ask yourself, what do you mean? If you became a Beachbody coach because you wanted the accountability for your own personal fitness, if you're not where you want to be in your own personal fitness, then you've probably not stepped into being a personal accountability coach to the level you should. And I promise you'll regret it if you don't step into it. If you stepped into it because you want to help other people get fit, how many people have you helped in the last 30 days? You need to step into it. You need to step up and accept the responsibility that you brought onto yourself when you said, I want to be a Beachbody coach. And if you're like me, where you saw this as a way to be able to live healthier, be much more fit than I was when I wasn't a Beachbody coach, and a way to create a lifestyle that in our case has been overwhelmingly blessed to the point that we've been able to help educate grandkids. We have a special needs grandchild. We've been able to help put her through some therapies that most parents couldn't afford to put her, their special needs kids through. Help our daughters. One time, all three of our daughters were on our payroll until they kind of found their way in life and found something that they were passionate about. And you know, today we live comfortably, and we're able to bless the lives of other people in some pretty significant ways, and we're grateful for that. But we had to step up. We had to step into it. We had to assume the responsibilities that came with making this an income earning opportunity. It's not complicated, right? It's a simple concept, but it's not always easy because we have to face fears that kind of hold us back. The fear of rejection, the fear of even telling people what we do, the fear of not being equal to the people we see on the top 10, the fear of not ever getting on a Monday morning wake-up call, all these things that get in our way. We just need to step above them and say, this is my business, this is my life. I'm going to every day step into it and pursue it at the very best of my ability. I want to put my head on the pillow tonight knowing that I gave every ounce of energy that I could towards my business today, and tomorrow I'm going to give as much or if more. It depends on how your schedule is. But anytime you're open for business as a Beachbody coach, you need to give it everything you got. I don't know if you guys have read this. If you haven't, I suggest that you read this book right here called The 10X Rule. You may or may not agree with everything that Grant Cardone has to say, but it really is a thought-provoking book. Great book, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. I'm loving this book. But you need to step up and be above all the other stuff. And you know what it is. You've got leaders that show you what that means. You've got stuff from Beachbody that shows you what that means. But the next piece of this process is, in the process of stepping up, fire your upline. And what do I mean by that? I mean, so often we say, well, Eddie didn't do this for me, or so-and-so didn't do that for me, or I'm waiting for my leader to tell me what to do, or I'm waiting for this, waiting for that. The truth is, the level of success that you achieve in your Beachbody business really isn't impacted by what your upline support team is able to do for you. It's what you decide to do from your position in the genealogy down. That's the real key. Now, I'm not saying don't plug into what they're doing. Participating in a call like this is important. And I'm a personal believer that Eddie's a 5-star plus diamond coach. He's got other diamond coaches in this group. I don't suggest that you break away from this type of a team environment until maybe you're a 5-star diamond coach. You can be your own identity and still stay plugged into the mothership, so to speak. But don't wait for your leaders to do everything for you. Their job and your job as a leader, because as soon as you fire your boss, you're a leader. As soon as you become an Emerald coach, you're a leader. Your job is to create an environment of positivity, introduce a system that has been successful, and get other people to plug into that system. Not force them, invite them to plug into that system. A system of success that you have achieved or that others have achieved, and then invite people to plug into that. Your job isn't to grab them and drag them by their ear, grab a hold of their belt loop and drag them kicking and screaming. No, your job is to step above the challenges, see a bigger picture, why you're a Beachbody coach, and then put your head down and make that happen as if the wind's blowing in your face so hard you can hardly move. But you're bound and determined that you're going to take a step every single day. That's an important part. Be and accept the responsibility of an independent business owner, but plug into your upline leadership system unless you have one of your own. But make sure your system has worked and has been proven successful. Don't just go build a system because you want your own identity. Plug in. I promise you, nobody remembers who invented the system. I met the guy that created the system that turned another network marketing company from 117 million to 300 million. It was his system that the company adopted, but nobody knew that. They just adopted it and everybody started doing it. And he wasn't ego driven. So he's like, cool, bigger company, more success, more leverage. But plug into the system. And then the idea of seeing a bigger picture. What does that mean? Well, first of all, it means never lose sight of your emotional why. And I'm going to invite you to be a little bit selfish. If you're in this business because you want to help other people get fit, guess what? In the process of doing that, you're going to make some money. What are you going to do with it? How can you enhance your life and the lives of other people around you if you expand your bank account? Think about that. Don't just be in for helping, because in the process of helping, you're going to make money. How can you use that money to help your life and other people's lives? Right? See the bigger picture. You need to connect to the big reason every single day, every day. It's like reading an affirmation, right? Create your vision board. And I've been in this business now 11 years, and here's this year's vision board. This is my vision board for this year, all right? So create a vision board. And I'll tell you, most seven-figure earners, if you go talk to them, they have some kind of a vision board. A lot of them use applications on their phones now, and it's on their phone. I'm kind of an old school guy, and I like to cut out pictures and stick them on things so I can have it out in front of me. But the other piece that I want to mention that is critically important to seeing the bigger picture is the idea of engaging in events, okay? And he mentioned that some of you took advantage of our offering where we were able to purchase a large block of tickets, and we were able to offer them at a lower cost than what you would get, what you would pay if you were buying them one by one from the Network Marketing Pro team for GoPro, the Recruiting Mastery event, right? The Network Marketing Recruiting Mastery event. Some of you chose to do that, and that's good. A pretty significant number of you, a couple dozen of you anyway, chose to do that. And I commend you for doing that. And here's what I want you to do. I need you to go into that weekend in November, the weekend before Thanksgiving, and I need you to get your calendar out, and I need you to highlight that with blue or pink or yellow, or get a big red pen and draw a big red box around it. You need to highlight that, and you need to make plans now to make sure that that happens. What kind of money do you need to save? What kind of arrangements do you need to make? And you absolutely do not, unless you stop breathing, you do not miss that event. Because it will be life-changing for you, I promise. To be able to spend time with Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor, Les Brown. I have no idea what Pitbull's going to do, right? But he's going to be there as well, not to mention a dozen or more seven-figure earners who are going to be in the front of the stage sharing their story and how this business has changed their life, and offer a few best practice tips that you can plug into. That's a big event. If you've committed to it, then you do not. It's like a wedding anniversary. It's like a birthday celebration. It's like that. It's that level of commitment. Okay. Now, there are other events that are equally powerful. Summit, for example, in New Orleans. If you have a ticket, start planning now to get to New Orleans in July. If you don't have a ticket, you can still get one. Why do you want to go to New Orleans? Because you're going to see 26,000 other Beachbody coaches. You're going to see a bigger picture. You're going to see how all this fits into your life and how your life fits into the bigger cause of Beachbody. Get to the big event. We have events coming up before that. Super Saturday, for example. Super Saturday, and I think it's on the 8th of April. Get to a Super Saturday event. Now, some of you say, I've been there, it's the same stuff all the time. Well, yeah, most of the time it is, because there's a format that Beachbody encourages, thanks, Eddie, April 8th, that Beachbody encourages people to follow. But what if every Beachbody coach went to a Super Saturday somewhere and every Beachbody coach brought a guest? How fast would an organization grow? Because like in our little community here, we have 30 to 60 people, depends on the weekend, depends on the weather in our community, that show up to our Super Saturday event. If we had 60 people show up and every one of them brought a guest, our community would grow by at least a third, because a third of those people would say, I want to be a Beachbody coach, because they see a bigger picture. They understand more what it's about. So get to that Super Saturday. Encourage your team to get to that Super Saturday event, no matter where it is. Shucks, there are people who drive 3-4 hours plus to get to a Super Saturday event. And some folks on my team are grumbling because they have to drive for an hour, right? How bad do you want your own personal health and to help other people get healthy and change your life financially because you're doing that. So Super Saturday is an event. This team call right here that's being offered to you every Tuesday night is an event. Plug into it. More importantly, not only do you plug into it, but participate in it. If you have, Randall says, has to drive 2.5 to 3.5 hours every time, but he's cool with that, okay? It's important that these events are like the recharge. They're like the battery, like your cell phone's dying, you plug it into a mobile charging station, boom, recharge. Same thing. So Super Saturdays, first of all, team calls, Super Saturdays, Summit in New Orleans this year in July, the Recruiting Mastery event in November. And a few of you here are actually participating live or through live streaming in the Most Powerful Women in Network Marketing event that's happening the 2nd to the 4th of March. That's another good event to plug into if you were able to get a ticket. And if you didn't get a ticket and you know somebody that did and they're within a couple-hour drive, 3-hour, 4-hour drive, go spend a Saturday with them and plug in on to the Saturday live streaming event. I cannot tell you, well, if you guys are GoPro fans, then Eric Worre's GoPro book, The Network Marketing Pro Community, Eric is a firm believer, and he's got data to prove this. For every big event, the number of people that you have to your company convention, we call it Summit, you can expect personally sponsored people to go to that event. You can expect to see that your income is going to grow by, if you have 2 people there, you can expect your income is going to grow by $2,000 in the next 12 months. If you got 12 people there, you should expect your income is going to grow by $12,000 in the next 12 months. So I could talk all day about the importance of events. An event that I attended in March of 1983 set the course of my life. I will tell you, in March of 1983, I had a friend who was working as a maintenance guy at a computer chip company. And he was making $25,000 a year. And I thought, man, if I could be making $25,000 a year, I would be living easy. That would be so awesome to have a career making $25,000 a year when most of my friends are making somewhere between 18 and 20. And then I went to this meeting. And it caused me to think bigger than $25,000 a year. I started thinking $25,000 a month, right? And then I got into the network marketing space and got there and realized that, wow, you know what? That was all about duplication. That was all about stepping up. It was all about accepting responsibility by, quote unquote, firing my upline. It was all about helping the people that I invite into my team seeing a bigger picture and then plugging them into a success system. And all of a sudden, $25,000 a month becomes a much larger number. And so it's possible, guys. If you can't tell by the grammatical errors I make when I talk, if you can't tell by the sentence structure I use when I talk, if you can't tell by the simplicity of, I mean, I got golf balls hanging on the wall behind me. You know, I'm not some fancy dancy dude. All I know is this profession that we call network marketing is the best opportunity for ordinary, everyday people to live extraordinary, above average lives. All you got to do, step into it, embrace it, follow the system, plug other people into the system, and stay that course. And it's not an overnight phenomenon. It's a profession. Like real estate or legal or medical or whatever. It's a profession. And before you can get to those higher levels of success, you've got to develop some skill sets that will get you there. I have a friend who's a highly successful real estate agent here in our community, and I have another friend that's working another job because he has to make the mortgage payment. And the only difference between the two of them is one really took the time and energy and effort to learn the skill set. The other one thought, oh, that's an easy way to make some money, and then discovered that it isn't unless He learn and apply himself. So those are my words of suggestion. Number one is step up and see the bigger picture. Step above the challenges, knowing that they're going to be there, and just see them and step over them and keep moving forward. Fire your upline, meaning don't wait for somebody to tell you what to do. There's so much available to you in the online office if you don't have a system to plug into, that you can go in the online office and learn everything you need to learn to be successful in this business. And finally, stay plugged into events. It's how you recharge your battery. It's how you see the bigger picture. It's how you kind of come out of the minutia and see a bigger picture so that you can get back in and start continuing to move forward. So with that, Eddie, I'll turn it back to you. If you want questions or comments, happy to make those. If you just want to say thank you very much, I'm going to let you take the show from here.
All right, guys. So here's a chance for anybody who's on this call to really ask Kevin if he has any questions. As he said that we have something we plug into. A lot of you guys do know we have a system we utilize, utilizing the book. Kevin, I utilize this book, Building an Empire. It's one of my favorite books that I've used for a long time. It's something that's, there you go. I'm a big fan. It's what I primarily teach the team through. We go step by step. It's about 90 minutes a night in which I walk through the team systems that we've had, as well as the different methodologies that Brian Carruthers came up with. I think is a phenomenal speaker. Who, if you guys are interested, if you did like Brian Carruthers, he speaks at GoPro. He has spoken the last two, so definitely someone worth plugging into. But if you have any questions, so go ahead. I saw Ray. If you have a question, I'm going to unmute you real quick. I'm going to try to find you first. A lot of names on this call. I appreciate everyone who decided to show up. Rafe, what'd you want to ask?
Great. Thanks, Kevin, for coming in to talk to us. We really appreciate the insights that you have here. I'm a diamond coach on Eddie's team. Eddie's a great leader. Has taught me a lot. And I just wanted to ask your thoughts on the power of three-way calls as a tool to grow your business really fast. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm a huge believer in what I call third-party tools. And I believe three-way calls are probably the simplest tool to use and to learn. And so I absolutely advocate three-way calling as a great way to plug people in. There's a format that you can follow in a three-way call that will help you get maximum results. I'm happy to dig that out of my files and pass it on to Eddie, and he can share it with the team if he deems it fit. It's pretty generic. But yes, absolutely. Here's one thing that we typically do in this business. We get talking to somebody, they show an interest by asking questions, and then we just start spewing information, right? We just it's like people put quarters in us like a jukebox, and we don't shut up, and we talk somebody into and out of the business in the same conversation. We talk somebody into a challenge pack and out of a challenge pack in the same conversation. As soon as someone really starts showing interest, using a three-way call, I'd say, you know what? I'm still relatively new. I'm still learning some stuff, but my upline mentor is awesome at answering those questions. How about I get you on a three-way call with them, and boom, you set up a three-way call and away you go in the upline, because now you're still in that role of kind of advising and guiding instead of becoming the authoritative figure. Let the upline be that third-party tool. Let the upline be validation that what you're talking about is right. Too often, even though I talk about firing your boss, too often we think that we need to be the finder, the inviter, the presenter, and the closer, and that's not true. We can find and invite, let someone else or something, third-party tool, present, and then we close. So great question, but I absolutely advocate three-way calls.
Awesome. We have Jonte. Go ahead, Jonte.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you again for making the call tonight, because it's very exhilarating to see someone that actually is the proof of the product, which is one of our founding what we're supposed to be doing, our behaviors. The question that I wanted to basically ask and throughout the whole team is, how is important is your follow-up?
Well, here's how I can answer that question. Imagine that you had a little plot of land in your backyard, and you went out there and you sweat labor digging up shovelful after shovelful. You cultivated the dirt. You fertilized the dirt. You put the
Kevin,
the energy and the effort into putting a seed into the ground.
Hold on. Could you start up again, Kevin?
What's that?
Could you start up again? You kind of broke up there for a second.
Sure. I was using the idea of building a little garden as my answer to the question. You put all the work into putting the seed in the ground. You put all the work into helping that little seedling get up to where it can now feel the sunshine and the moisture and the nutrients. It gets big enough to produce fruit. And then you walk away. And you start neglecting the garden, and you don't water it, and the weeds start to grow, and it starts to choke off the plants. The follow-up is the process of harvesting the fruit. You do all the work until the fruit starts to prepare for harvesting, and then you walk away. Now, one of the biggest challenges that we have with follow-up is our own personal mindset. Number one, we expect them to say no. So why should we follow up anyway, right? Number two, if we have set a time to follow up and they don't honor that follow-up, we think, oh, I don't want to be a hemorrhoid. I don't want to be a pain in the backside, so I'm going to wait for them to call me. And days become weeks, and now we feel uncomfortable calling them because it's been weeks, right? Those are two big problems. Or even worse, we set a day and a time for a follow-up, and then we don't show up. Because 9 out of 10 people that we followed up with in the past said no, they're going to say no, so why waste my time? Why go through the process of building or planting a garden and cultivating a garden and getting it to the point of harvest and then walking away? So, there's a phrase in our profession, the success, fortune's in the follow-up. I really, really believe that's the case. And if you've got people you haven't followed up with and it's been a couple weeks, a couple months, or a year, the best thing you can do is fall on your own sword and use this call tonight as an excuse. Pick up the phone and say, you know what? I am a knucklehead. I shared something with you 3 weeks ago, and I haven't followed up with you, and that's my bad. And I was on a call with a business mentor, and he politely kicked me in the pants and told me to get on the phone with you. So I apologize that I didn't reach out to you when I should have, but I am reaching out to you now because I want to make it right. Whatever words you use, fall on your sword. Be the guy that did the wrong thing, but get back to every one of those people you've ever talked to that you've never followed up with, or they've never honored the follow-up. So, Jonte, long answer to a short question, but my man, if you want this business to be successful, then you got to follow up, and you got to follow up multiple times. Because if someone tells you no today, and people say no means not right now, but the truth is it means no. I'm not ready to do something, but that doesn't mean they're not going to be ready down the road. So following up, a couple months down the road, just call them and say, hey man, I was thinking about you. How's things? And they're probably going to bring up, are you still in that beach body thing? Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, I am. How's your fitness? You can have a conversation that feels like a conversation that isn't another pitch of the business. But if you're going to do the work of planting the garden, you better stick around to harvest your work.
And that I can't deny, guys. I mean, I've had people join me 3-4 years after I originally approached them. I mean, there is no time limit, and there's nothing worse than saying, well, I approached you, and then you joined another team because I forgot about you. Or you joined another team because I quit. What do you mean you did that beach body thing? I told you about that a year ago, and I gave up a month ago, and now you signed up with somebody else. I've seen it before, guys. I've seen it happen to other people who have left our business and then kicked themselves because their friends signed up somewhere else. And then they would say, you know what, Eddie, I'm actually going to do the business again. And then they give up on themselves again, sadly, because they lost faith in themselves because they're like, oh, well, now there's another coach out there. Also, let me tell you, there is no such thing as saturation in this business. There could be tons of people, and Lord, that's a fallacy. I can tell you, I've been told that his business has been saturated since the day I started, that all these things happened. And what I found is this. There are, in Chicago alone, over 4 million people. There's not even enough Beachbody coaches to cover the 4 million people here, let alone, and as far as the number of coaches in this business, truthfully, how many of them are working seriously on their dreams and goals? I'd say less than 5 to 10%, tops. Truthfully, if you look at the number yourself, a lot of you guys can look at yourselves and ask yourself, have I been working my business seriously for the last 3 months, 6 months, year, 2 years, 3 years? And the truth is there's a reason why the cream of the crop rise to the top, because they never stop plugging in, never stop following the systems, never stop showing up. And honestly, 80% is just showing up. I've told all of you guys, if you buy that sticky notebook paper for 5 years and every day you work, you pull a page off that calendar, and a day you take off, you got to put 5 back. Well, how many guys are truly moving that calendar on a regular basis? And at the end of the day, if you're willing to get those 10,000 no's, I have no doubt that you'll be thankful with the results you got for putting the time, the effort, and the heart into this business. Any other questions?
Two things. I saw Tara ask a question, or Tara, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but I just want to say one more thing about the whole idea of follow-up, and then I'll get into every road is a bumpy road, right? There are a lot of people that you've invited to join you on this journey as a customer or a coach, and they've told you no. And the truth is, they told you no at that point in time, but you planted in their mind a thought that has been percolating. They weren't ready then, but they're ready now. But they're afraid of reaching out to you. They're afraid of reaching out and saying, "Hey, Cassie, a couple weeks ago you approached me about being in your challenge group, and I told you no." They're afraid. The same way you're afraid of reaching out to them, they're afraid of reaching back to you. So when you follow up with somebody multiple times, you're giving them the opportunity for them to go, "Oh, thank goodness she called back, because now I can say I think I'm ready." They live in the same place of hesitancy and uncertainty as we do. If they ever told us no, there's that little bit of ego that they don't want to succumb to by saying, "I was wrong and now I'm ready." If we keep connecting with them, now we give them permission and the opportunity to reach out. Now to the question about speaking to rough patches. If we do not encounter resistance in this business, we will never build a strong business. It's just like fitness. Resistance training strengthens our muscles that help. Well, in the book Younger Next Year, it talks about this whole idea of building muscles that help us to live longer, right? Because we've worked on building up some muscle. The same thing in this business. There, you encounter situations where you just like, "Oh my gosh, I've talked to everybody I can think of, and they've all told me no. I don't know where to go now. Maybe maybe this business isn't for me." And the truth is, network marketing isn't for everyone. It can be for everyone, but it isn't for everyone if the person's just like being an attorney or a realtor or a dentist, right? Or whatever. Not everybody's cut out to do that because they don't want to pay the price that's necessary to make it happen. But the beauty in network marketing is we can come from whatever angle of life we're in. And if we're prepared to do the single most, and Eddie calls it showing up, the single most important, and I'm going to be throwing books at you all day long. Another favorite of my books called The One Thing. If you were to boil this business down to the one thing that separates a successful Beachbody coach, and you can define success. I'm not going to define it for you. You can define success based on your definition. But if you were to boil it down to one activity that will determine the difference between a successful Beachbody coach and a less successful Beachbody coach, I call it engagement. And what I mean by that is We need to be engaging people in conversation. When we're standing in line at Starbucks, we should be having conversation with people. When we're standing in line at the grocery store, we should be having conversations with people. When we are in our social media space, we should look for opportunities to create conversation with people, none of which is intended to be Beachbody conversation. All of which is to build a rapport that comes to the point where the other person says, so what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
And you have a chance now to answer the what do you do question. And you can talk about, well, you know, right now to keep the lights on the roof over my head, I'm doing X, Y, Z. But as soon as that time clock hits 5, I'm chasing my passion. And what's your passion? My passion is to help people live the best life they can live physically and financially. Oh, really? What do you do? Or some people might say, oh, that's interesting. And all of a sudden, because their energy level isn't there, they'll go off and do something else. That's okay. Your job isn't to convince anybody, right? Your job is to create the conversation. Your job is to have enough of a conversation that they ask what you do. Or if it's through social media and they say, hey, Eddie, I noticed on your Facebook page, you're a Beachbody coach. I got a bunch of them in my community that are trying to talk into a challenge group. What should I do? Your job is to have the conversation with them. They're probably going to decide to come and work with you because you're the one that spent the time not trying to sell them on something, but educating them. So the key is engagement, right? And in the toughest times, when we really, really, really want to quit, is the time that we need to pull up the socks, roll up the sleeves, and decide we're going to have conversations with people. Not with any intention whatsoever of having a Beachbody conversation, just with connecting with another human being and blessing their life through our positive energy and reinforcement and asking questions and showing interest. That's when you are doing that every day, that is the action that stirs the universe, that causes attraction to come your way. If you look at the law of attraction, how does it work? Well, the last 6 letters in the word, action, is how that process works. So my answer to the have you had down times? Oh my gosh. Yeah. Both on the corporate side and on the other side. But I'm going to ask you before you decide to unplug. I'm going to tell you, guys, I'm going to be straight up honest with you right now. The journey that you see the Beachbody company on right now, it probably feels a little bit flat. It's because it is. And that's a journey that every company takes. We've been in this thing 10 years now. We have to, we'll, as a corporate team, they'll make a few adjustments. But I've watched this happen for 3 companies that I have worked with or consulted with now, where they are just blowing the doors off the business, and all of a sudden the nose tips down and they're now on a little bit of a slower increase or on the flat line, and on a couple occasions they've been on a decline. And if I were to put my 2 cents worth, and I'm going to use what Catherine Lee says, the plateau. The reason the plateau exists is because everybody's buying into the fact that, you know what, Beachbody is a tired business. No, the reason Beachbody is a tired business is because nobody's creating engagement. Nobody's having conversation. I promise you, there's still 4 million people in Chicago, and 3,200,000 of them are probably looking for some form of the message that we have to deliver. They just don't know where to look. Right? They can go to they can join a gym, and now they got to go to the gym and compete with everybody else for the sweaty treadmill or the weight room, or they have to go to the gym in their baggy sweat clothes and their old sneakers, and they're running next to the dude that's got all the latest Under Armour gym clothes on, right? And so they get overwhelmed by that, whereas the truth is, with our program, shoot, they can get up and work out in their pajamas if they want to, right? So the reason things are a little bit quiet is because we're quiet. We're uncertain. But our message never changes. Our message is, if you're not happy with where you are, do you have a plan? If you don't have a plan, I've got one. Would you like to see it? In our case, we call it a challenge group if they're looking to lose weight and get in shape. In our case, we call it coaching if they're looking for a way to earn some extra money. We just have to continually engage in the conversations that lead to the questions that lead to an opportunity for us to ask or answer their questions. Not every conversation has to be a Beachbody conversation. In fact, I would invite you all for the next 72 hours, set an intention that you're going to have at least 5 conversations with people you don't know, whether it be online or when you're out and about in the community. You're going to have 5 conversations a day over the next 72 hours. None of which is intended to be Beachbody. And watch how many of those conversations at some point end up, and it might not happen in that 72-hour window, but if you're really sincere about it, you have a conversation with somebody tomorrow, you don't not talk to them again, right? You figure out a way to reconnect with them. If it's through social media, you do it easily. If you meet somebody at Starbucks, you might have to say, hey, you know what, I really appreciated having a conversation with you. I like staying connected to positive-minded people. Do you mind if we stay connected through Facebook or whatever, and you connect that way? But at some point in time, those 15 conversations, 5 a day, 72 hours, 3 days, those 15 conversations, at least 5 of them sometime in the future, in the not too distant future, will turn into what do you do conversations. Or I saw on your Facebook this. They will mention Beachbody somehow in your conversation sometime in the future. So my pleading to each one of you would be, if life's a little bumpy right now and life's a little rocky right now, and you feel like your kidneys have been beat up because you're driving down a bumpy, rocky road, pull over, start walking and having conversations with the people along the way, so to speak, right? Just engage people in conversation for the sake of just blessing their life through positive energy and positive reinforcement. There was a guy I worked with many, many years ago. I still remember him. He was a courier for a hospital that I was working with. And every time I would see him in the hallway, he would be talking to people. And these people weren't like in a hurry to get out of his conversation. And I got to the point where I started asking this guy, he used to wear this baseball cap around that had a Bud Light beer logo on it. So I called him Bud. I have no idea what his name really was because I just called him Bud all the time. And tell me about that person that you were just talking to. Because, the truth is, I just met him. We were on the elevator together. And I just asked him, are you here for a family member, or are you here? He'd strike up a conversation that was hospital related, and they would start talking, and he would just start listening. And, he would always look for a way to be positive. Man, you sure seem positive despite the challenges that your husband's facing or your child's facing. Keep the chin up, continue to be happy, and good things will happen. He was always looking for ways to reinforce people in a positive way. And if he didn't get his courier job done, the best thing he was an ambassador for that hospital, because every person he left that he talked to walked away with a smile on their face. So I'm not quite sure if I answered the question, but that's how we all have those bumpy moments. We all have the turbulence. And instead of buckling the seatbelt and hunkering down, that's where we need to unbuckle the seatbelt and go have conversations with people just for the sake of conversing. And I'll tell you, there are days when I have, and here's something. I have a standing call with one of my favorite people. He's another Beachbody coach. I have a standing call every Friday morning, 7 a.m. my time, with a friend of mine who is in our downline team, who lives in Tennessee. And we will talk sometimes for 2 hours. And we talk about family, we talk about the business, we talk about Tennessee Titans, we talk about Memphis Grizzlies versus Golden State Warriors, we talk about all kinds of stuff. But he is kind of my way of reconnecting to that part of me that's conversational. And because sometimes I just like to be quiet. But if I'm quiet, I'm not talking to anybody. If I'm not talking to anybody, I'm not pushing positive energy out there that's going to attract new business back to me. But every Friday, I remember the first time I talked to the guy, it was on Thanksgiving Day 5 years ago. And his upline coach called me, three-way call, whoever it was that asked about the three-way call. Three-way call, his coach called me and said, hey, I got this guy. He used to be a Beachbody coach. He quit because he wasn't getting any support. He now wants to be a coach. He found me, but he has a few network marketing questions because he's been in network marketing, and he's wondering if I can plug him into somebody. I'm like, dude, I'm happy to talk to him. Great, can you talk to him right now? He's driving to his parents' house for Thanksgiving. I'm like, sure. We spent an hour on the phone. And it was a conversation about everything. And obviously he had a bazillion questions about Beachbody, and I answered the questions. And here we are 5 years later, almost every Friday for the last 5 years. Guys, I give long answers to short questions. I hope you know, one of my friends who's a big 7-figure earner in network marketing says, really, network marketers are just high-paid storytellers. Because the best way to prove a point is to tell a story, right? Best way to overcome an objection is to tell a story. I don't know about that. What I know is, and I tell a story. So anyway.
And I'll tell you what, guys, usually when we want to quit, it's usually because we haven't been consistent with our actions. We're not congruent.
Amen, brother.
I mean, honestly, I've yet to meet anybody who wants to quit, who's been consistent with their heart, with their passion, and they're showing up every day for their business, utilizing the systems that have been put in place. I've seen coaches that have taken time off and walked away, and then it's really hard to get started again. It's the same thing with your fitness if you think about it. Nobody wants to start working out again when they've taken 2, 3, 4, 5 months off. But when we're willing to show up and we're showing up every day, we start to crave it. We start to crave the interaction. We start to crave the relationships that we're building. And we crave watching people transform. I have yet to find a coach that was wanting to quit because they were taking the action for a long period of time with consistent faith and having their heart in the right place. And that's just it. If you do it with passion, a burning desire, and faith, you are going to have success. You know, and if you're not, I can tell you truthfully, if you're working 1 day on, 3 days off, you're taking a couple days off from your workouts and all that sort of stuff, of course you're not going to have success because you're not being true to who yourself. You're not being congruent with what your values are, which is being product of the product, and you're not sharing. You're really not building relationships, and you're not, you know, a lot of our teams have been built through the systems we've produced, which is finding people to help first and finding a very targeted niche for each of ourselves. And it takes time. But I can tell you, if you can find one customer every other day, just to even fill out free Beachbody accounts, that's great. I mean, I would just go through your Facebook again. Go through everyone on your Facebook and offer something for free and say, hey, I'm going to be giving away something. Would you be interested in just helping me out? I'm trying to collect free account signatures for a contest we're having on our team, and we're going to give away XYZ. I'm giving away something as well as you can, if you would like. I have free access to these programs. It could be a solution to help you at your gym breaking through a plateau or something else. Do you or anyone you know, would they be interested in this sort of thing? And you'd be surprised by how many people. Also, don't restrict yourself to just being a home fitness solution. You know, a lot of us pigeonhole ourselves into just being at home. I work out at the gym with these programs. I bring my laptop and I'm just like, hey, plug into the Wi-Fi at the Anytime Fitness near my house, and I'll get some people that may look at me. I'll invite somebody as often as I can saying, hey, man, I saw you're working out. What are you working on today? Okay, you want to try something different? Would you be open to trying something new? And just call them over. Heck, if you see somebody doing abs, ask them if they'd be willing to try a different ab routine for 15 minutes and throw an ab ripper X. Let me tell you, they will be changed. They'll be shocked by that 15-minute, 356 reps of Tony Horton in your face, you know, just saying, let's burn. And I'm telling you the truth. Do not be scared. Even if you want to just give somebody a short sample in person, Aperper X is a phenomenal way 15-minute workout that they get a small sample of Beachbody without having a full torturous 45-minute workout with you or hour-and-a-half workout. Yep. And don't be scared to get in there. And again, don't feel like I have to work out at home to be a Beachbody coach, because you know what? I feel that I can meet people at the gym that are looking for the things. Also, maybe they don't want to work out the Beachbody. Guess what? That's okay. Don't focus only on Beachbody. Guess what? We have a large product assembly. Ask yourself, how many of my friends use supplements and would be interested in aligning their supplements under a single brand and be able to have a chance to make money as they use it? Because the truth is this is basic. We have a high-quality protein for whey and casein. We have a pre-workout. We have a hydration tool. We have a creatine. We have great, phenomenal products. We're going to be coming out with some things up in the pipeline, too, coming up that you guys should be really excited about. But at the end of the day, if you're scared to just even talk to these people that are already using nutrition products, because they're already using, just say, hey, what kind of nutrition product are you using? Just even ask this simple question. I see you're drinking a protein shake. What kind of protein? Really? Have you ever considered aligning up under a different high-quality brand that has no artificial sweeteners, no fillers, no preservatives or anything like that? Would you be interested in trying something different and maybe you'll be able to make some money if you like it? I'd love to share an opportunity with you. This would be something you'd be interested in learning more about. Some will, some won't. Who cares? It's not your job to worry about. We're here to sort, guys. We're here not to convince. Just sort yes, no, yes, no. You're getting paid either way because you know what? It averages out that if you really try to talk and collect decisions constantly, you would make a phenomenal living. And I think a lot of us haven't even heard 100 no's because you know what? If you've heard 100 no's, I guarantee you have heard a yes somewhere along the line. I've yet to meet anybody who's heard 100 no's in a row who hadn't heard a yes. And
Amen.
It's too long to hear a no. Collect the no's. I love hearing no. Okay, you're not interested in talking right now. Do me a favor. You mind filling someone out for me real quick just in case so I know you're no. And would you know anybody else who may be interested? You see them fill out the free account. So that way they don't go on beachbody.com later on because they saw a really cool infomercial and it just grabbed their attention. They forgot their conversation with you a year and a half from now. And you still have that information. And then you can always go to Beachbody and say, hey, guys, I saw my friend ordered XYZ. I saw the volume, but I didn't get paid. Can I get that commission? And you'd be surprised. They'll transfer it over to you. But the more accounts you have, and again, I cannot stress enough, nobody is truly on your list unless they filled out a free account.
Eddie, I agree with you, brother. I agree with you. One other comment I want to make before we let you go if you guys have to go. Jim Rohn has a phrase. I heard it this morning when I was doing some personal development stuff. Jim Rohn has said on many occasions, leaders are readers. And I would say 9 times out of 10, if somebody's bumping along in their business, they're struggling a little bit with their business, they're approaching the idea of quitting in their business, I'm pretty comfortable to say that individual probably is not engaged on a daily basis in the space of personal development and motivation. The mentor that I learned more about this business from than anybody else, he today is worth probably $600-700 million. And what's interesting is when you encounter him as an individual that might not know, and they'll say to him, sir, what did you have to do to get all of this? I mean, the guy owns a 6,000 acre ranch, 1,600 acres of it are in grapes. He's got his own wine label. He now owns a network marketing company does close to $400 million a year around the world. He's a licensed pilot. He can fly helicopters and a couple of different kinds of Lear jets, and he owns a P-51 World War II fighter plane. He's in partnership with the Hilton family with his big yacht. I mean, he's a majority owner of BJ's brewery restaurants. I mean, the guy's got all kinds of stuff. And he will tell them, he says, well, when I was 19 years old, I invested $39.95. Like, what? He says, yeah, that airplane cost me $39.95. Not possible. And he said, well, it was. I had $39.95. I invested it in a business, and that business delivered me everything I have today. Now, I will tell you that he had some rough patches. When he was growing his business, he was leveraging his house furniture to get small loans from banks so that he would have the money to put gas in his car to drive to a city to do a meeting. And there were times when he was pretty down, right? Because things weren't, in fact, the first 2 companies he joined, both ended up going out of business. But I remember him saying that when he has really, really down times where the last thing he wants to do is have a conversation with somebody, he will prop himself up back in those days by locking himself in the bathroom and reading something that had always been inspiring to him. In his case, he was raised a salt of the earth Christian boy in the San Joaquin Valley of California. So he would always turn to the Bible as his motivational source. He said, there are times when my wife would pass the tuna fish sandwiches under the door while I sat in the bathroom and tried to recharge my batteries. His comment was, now don't think you can do that for several days, but there may be days where the best thing you can do is plug yourself into uplifting motivational content. And Jim Rohn was a big proponent of leaders are readers. We should always be engaged in the process of reading. I was reading today in a book, the question that the individual asked was, how many books do you think a CEO reads a year? Most highly successful, high 7-figure, 8-figure CEOs will read 60, 70 books a year. Some of them reading by listening and others reading by reading. And some of us are lucky to have read 5 books since we graduated from high school or college. So plug that into the getting past the rough spot equations, because I think the rough spots will be smoother if we're engaged on a daily basis in making sure that our wiring is correct, that our belief system is in the right place. I know for myself, I can't go a couple of days of reading about success or reading about like this book that I'm reading right now, the 10 Times Rule. I'm sitting back going, man, I've been lazy for the last year and a half. After I hear what Mr. Cardone did to grow businesses with very little money, and now they become mega $1 million empires. I'm like, dude, I got to step up my game, which causes me to now rethink how I move through my day to get more of that in. So just make sure that you're plugging into that part of the vital behaviors, because I think it's a critical one that is the first thing to go out the door when we're busy, when in reality it should be there to make sure that the door never closes.
I have a quick question. Kevin, do you have any more GoPro tickets left currently, or are you out?
I can get some, but I don't have any more of the $300 ones. The only access we have now are $350. But I have access to as many as 10 if anybody wanted them.
So guys, if you're looking $350 for a ticket, I cannot honestly, as far as all the network marketing event trainings have ever gone, whether it be Beachbody, Run, or outside, and I can tell you that people send their people to this event from every company you can imagine. I mean, the top earners in the industry are in that room that day. And I can tell you, no matter if you're a 7-figure earner, whether it be Holton Bugs, who you guys hear Cash Cow that I promote to you guys during our trainings, or it's, somebody from, the top earner at Mary Kay or whatever business, I got to tell you, if you can, reach out to Kevin, hit him up with a private message, letting him know you're part of our team and you're interested in a ticket. And do not delay, because you know what? The longer you wait, again, it's that whole resistance thing I always ask you guys in the first day when you join our team, when you go into our class, which I say, I want you to raise your hands as high as you can. And everyone raises their hands as high as they can. And then I ask you, okay, can you go about 2 inches higher? And you find that extra 2 inches somehow? That's the difference. That first resistance you hit is you're saying, I don't know if I could go to this event. I don't know. But you somehow find a way to get that extra 2 inches. And those 2 inches, the self-development that's there. And if you're a leader in this business, you want to become a leader, again, you want to fire your upline, you want to do all these things, don't wait for me to share with this to you. Just go on and do it. Just go reach out to Kevin, hit him up with the PayPal, say, hey, Kevin, I'm going to show you this PayPal. What's your address? Kevin will take great care of it. Make sure you get your tickets. And I'm going to tell you, I want to say thank you for Kevin, because I'm going to tell you, he's saving you a few $100 just by you going through him to get this ticket. And if you wait, truthfully, if you wait, you're going to regret it. And I saw people that waited last time. I saw people that bought tickets and didn't show up. And I can tell you that, sometimes you need that reset, because we pour ourselves into people. And this is what's going to pour back into our cup, because you have to go somewhere else. You empty your cup into others, and sometimes you have to go someplace else to be refilled and go whole again. And I can't say that enough. So, I mean, if you're going to go, don't regret it. I appreciate, Kevin, for all your time. My last question is would you mind if we reach out to you in a few months to ask you to speak again about something, a subject of some sort?
Happy to help anytime I can, man. Anytime.
So on that note, guys, I appreciate everyone making the call. I don't record these too often, but I will post tonight's because Kevin was willing to have it recorded. Thank you for the wonderful questions. If nobody has any more, we're going to kick this off. And I appreciate everyone taking the time. And Kevin, thank you so much for everything you do. I still got that 10-star diamond one day on that board. I will be coming to wine country. May take more years.
We're holding the bedroom for you, man.
I'll be there, man. Just give me time. It takes a little longer. Sometimes you fall and I got to rebuild, but I'm there.
Hey. You know, you're only done when you give up, right?
That's just it. So on that note, guys, thank you again. Thank you for everyone who attended. Please try to get people on these calls, on future calls, whether we have a guest or not, because it will help us all together grow. Thanks again, Kevin.
You're welcome, guys. Take care.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.